Hola, buenos días. Mi nombre es Timoteo. I'm Tim, and I serve gratefully as minister of this proudly progressive congregation. Yay, you can do that. So welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno, California. Welcome to everyone on our virtual church campus. Give it up for our virtual folks. Hey! Welcome to everybody on our Alluvial Avenue Church campus. We are one congregation in many places. We acknowledge that our Alluvial Ave campus sits within the traditional homelands of the Yucats and Mono peoples, whose diverse tribal communities share stewardship over the Central Valley. Please remember to stay masked on our in-person campus here. Practice social distancing, please, when you're outside, because unvaccinated children are on campus. As we say each week, you and your masks are welcome here. You are welcome no matter your race, culture of origin, age, spiritual background, or religious beliefs. You're welcome if you are lesbian, gay, bi, trans, gender fluid, questioning, or non-binary. You're welcome no matter your disabilities, the amount of money that's in your bank account, or your level of education. You are welcome with or without documentation, sin y con papeles. No one is illegal en esta iglesia. Todos son bienvenidos aquí. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe the use of the democratic process in our congregations and in society at large is a spiritual practice. This is why we have a fierce commitment to protecting voting rights. We're in the midst of a special election to determine if the current governor of California is recalled or not. Please vote from your Unitarian Universalist religious values. Just as importantly, if you agree with their vote, be sure your friends and family drop their ballots in a ballot drop box by Tuesday. Complacency could result in an outcome we don't want to experience. Notice, I never told you how to vote. I just said vote your you values. So now by chat box, in person here on Alluvial Ave, or in the silent sacredness of your own hearts, let us take a moment to greet one another and say buenos dias. Hey, welcome back. So good to see you. Good. Good to see you. Hey, good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. Hey, Tess. They're rowdy this morning here on Alluvial Ave. Let us enter into our sacred time of being together as the sound of the tingsha carries us to that place of love, hope, and compassion.
Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for all the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, oh, one day, oh. It's not about win or lose, 'cause we all lose when they feed on the souls of the innocent. Blood-drenched pavement, keep on moving though the waters stay raging. In this maze you can lose your way, your way. It might drive you crazy, but don't let it faze you, no way, no way. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it'll all turn around, because all my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for all the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, oh, one day, oh. One day this all will change, treat people the same. Stop with the violence, down with the hate. One day we'll all be free and proud to be under the same song, singing songs of freedom like one day, oh, one day, oh. All my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for all the people to say that we don't wanna fight no more. There'll be no more wars, and our children will play. One day, oh, one day, oh.
Buenos dias and welcome to my home. I'm Emily Kaisinga and I will be your worship associate for this Sunday service. I am so pleased that we are able to be one congregation in many places now that we have two church campuses, our online campus and the Alluvial Avenue campus. For those of you at home this morning, you may want to have your candle or chalice ready, as we will be lighting those in just a moment. Today's service asks us to reflect on the racism and white supremacy culture that remains so alive in our world today. Speaking from personal experience, these heavy topics often bring up many feelings, particularly for white people. In my own exploration of how I fit into white supremacy culture, I've had many feelings that I'm not proud of: guilt, shame, defensiveness, and denial. None of these are particularly productive or helpful to the fight for racial justice. I recently read a quote from Ijoma Oluo's book, So You Want to Talk About a Race, which really spoke to me. She writes, "You have to get over the fear of facing the worst in yourself. You should instead fear unexamined racism. Fear the thought that right now you could be contributing to the oppression of others and you don't know it. But do not fear those who bring that oppression to light. Do not fear the opportunity to do better." I've had many moments where I've feared facing the worst in myself. The problem is that none of us are perfect, and even the best intentioned of us can make racist missteps or perpetuate white supremacy culture in a way that is extremely harmful and hurtful to people of color. It may be as small as calling a beige-colored Band-Aid nude, or as large as sending your child to school in a certain neighborhood because it's a bad neighborhood, when what that really means is that it's a predominantly Black or brown neighborhood. Being unwilling to face the worst in ourselves significantly limits our progress toward equity, as we cannot fix a problem that we deny. And we shouldn't be afraid to constantly work towards being the best version of ourselves. Reflecting as a white parent of a white daughter, I am acutely aware that there are so many conversations that I won't need to have with my daughter that parents of color are forced to have. There are, however, so many opportunities for conversations to raise her to be more aware of how our privilege helps us benefit from white supremacy culture, and how we'll have to be vigilant our whole lives to work towards ending this reality. Ignoring this opportunity would be a horrible waste, and I'm trying my best to listen to those that are willing to bring to light the ways that I may oppress them, whether intentional or not. It is with the hope that we can all stay open to the opportunity to be better that I light the chalice this morning. Tim, if you're ready, please join me. And for those online today, join in lighting the chalice in the sanctuary of your home or your hearts. Let us rise now in body or spirit and join in singing "We Shall Be Known." If you are on the Alluvial campus this morning and are unvaccinated, we ask that you'd please sing in the silence of your hearts.
1, 2, 3, 4. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
I invite us to remain standing as we say together the words of our mission statement. La misión de la Iglesia Unitaria Universalista de Fresno es amar inclusivamente, crecer espiritualmente, servir con gratitud y trabajar por la justicia. The mission of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno is to love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. Please be seated. About our breath, the beloved poet Mary Oliver asks, are you breathing just a little and calling it a life? I invite us to take in a deep centering breath, breathing in peace. We hold for just a moment, and we breathe out love. And again, together as one, we breathe in peace. We hold for just a moment. We breathe out love. One last time, breathing in peace. We hold a moment. We breathe out love. As we continue breathing together in this sanctuary, this sacred place filled with precious, beating human hearts, we allow our breath to carry us back over the last week, the last 7 days of our living, the gift that was our life, a question to consider. Where in the last week did you witness or experience kindness? Breathing together, we breathe into our time of sharing joys, sorrows, gratitudes, and concerns. If someone could be so kind as to bring me any of the cards. Ellis, thank you, sir. Great. So as some of you know, this time we pause to really honor whatever's in our hearts and our minds, whatever we carried into this sanctuary from the week that we have just lived. Some of us on the virtual campus are typing a joy, a sorrow, a concern in the comment box. Others of us, just one this morning, stop at the small table at the entrance to the church and write down what's in your heart on one of the small cards. Today, Carlos is feeling great joy at being sober for 3 years. Congratulations, Carlos. Nancy Hatcher wanted to let us know that her niece, Denise, who's only 52 years old, passed away from cervical cancer and asks that you hold her family in thoughts and prayers. As a former Richmond, Virginia resident who lived next to the infamous Monument Boulevard, today I celebrate the removal of the statue of Robert E. Lee, who, despite what you might read in some parts of the World Wide Web, Robert E. Lee was a traitor and a rabid racist. Today we also want to surround Jamie with our thoughts and prayers. You were hospitalized briefly this week, and we're sending you love and good energy. Dawn, we join with you as you celebrate and mourn the loss of your mom. Our thoughts. And Harvin Malik, 2 weeks ago, watched her mom pass into the mysteries of death. And so we hold Parvin and her family. We also have a celebration. Congratulations to Nico, our sound tech, on the birth of Eli Adam on August 31st, 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Isn't that the best picture? And on our virtual campus, if you want to celebrate the arrival of Eli, just type E for Eli. We also want to remember our beloveds, those among us in the congregation unable to be present because of illness or age. We remember Glenda R., Pat M., who is soon relocating, Babs E., Rich B., Robin G., who continues in the loving care of hospice, and Ellis, we hold you in our thoughts as well as Robin makes this journey, and we celebrate your long and enduring marriage. We also hold Bill N. in our thoughts. Want to acknowledge the deadly flooding on the East Coast caused by the intensified storms due to our climate change crisis. And acknowledge yesterday was the 20th anniversary of 9/11. For all that was lost that day and for all that has been sacrificed. I especially lift up the name of my friend Waleed, who was on Flight 11, American Airlines, and was incinerated when it hit the North Tower. He was 34 years old. So I remember Waleed. If on our virtual campus there's someone you know who passed on that day, or because of health conditions afterwards, we invite you to type that name or those names in the chat box. If anybody here on our Alluvial campus has a friend or loved one who lost their life, I invite you, if you feel so moved, to stand and call out their name. And so, for all that has been shared, for all that we hold in the sacred silence of our own hearts, and for all those who on this day have no one to remember them, no one to speak their name with gentleness or care, we light our candle of community. We light our second candle for the 4.7 million citizens of the world who have lost their lives in this pandemic. We acknowledge a staggering 656,000 were Americans. We have a custom on the first anniversary of a church member's death to light a candle of remembrance. And so this morning we remember our beloved Karen Goodman. Karen was many things to all, but to her family, she was the best granny ever. Her legacy of love and support lives on in her 7 grandchildren, as well as many nieces and nephews. Education was important to Karen, and she was a teacher and a real estate broker. Karen was the epitome of a community activist and an unsung hero of Fresno. Karen was a longtime member of the League of Women Voters, founding member of WINGS, a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement, and a leader of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. And so this morning, we light a candle in celebration of her life. We're going to do things just a little bit differently this morning. Our call to meditation, followed by our shared time of silence, will be slightly different. In the Jewish tradition, these are the days called the high holidays. This past Tuesday was Rosh Hashanah, and Wednesday evening inaugurates Yom Kippur, the 24-hour Day of Atonement. In honor of this, instead of beginning our time of silence after our sung call of meditation with the sounding of the Tibetan meditation bowl, Lorenzo will sound the shofar, the horn of a ram blown as a trumpet by the ancient Hebrews during religious observances and used in modern Judaism during Rosh Hashanah and at the end of Yom Kippur. And so, meditation on breathing, followed by the shofar, followed by silence.
1, 2. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Quando respiro paz. Quando exhalo amor. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Quando respiro paz. Quando exhalo amor. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. Quando respiro paz. Quando exhalo
Our words of prayer and reflection are adapted from a prayer by Howard Thurman, who was born in 1899, the grandson of former slaves. He was the first black dean of a mostly white university, Boston University, and there he was a mentor of a young Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Howard Thurman is recognized as one of the great spiritual leaders of the 20th century. Howard Thurman co-founded the first mixed-race, interfaith religious congregation in the United States. Please join with me in the spirit of reflection or prayer. Spirit of life, fuente de amor, sense of wonder and mystery that some of us call God. Open unto us light for our shadows. Open unto us courage for our fear. Open unto us hope for our despair. Peace for our turmoil. Joy for our sorrow. Strength for our weakness. Forgiveness for our unskillfulness. Tenderness for our toughness. Open unto us love for our hates. Open unto us our better selves. Love, amor, life. May we open unto you. A common read invites participants to read and discuss the same book at a given period of time. The Unitarian Universalist common read can build communities in our congregations and in our larger denomination by giving diverse people a shared experience, a shared language, and a basis for deep, meaningful conversations. This year, the National Unitarian Universalist Association Common Read that congregations all across the country are beginning to explore is Imani Perry's powerful Breathe, a Letter to My Sons. It's an unflinching challenge to society to see Black children as deserving of humanity. First, by video, we meet Amani Perry, professor of African American Studies at Princeton University, and then church member Darcy shares the book's prologue. Breathe, a letter to my sons.
They deal with race and racism every day of their lives. They see it, they know it. I can give examples from the time they were 5 years old of encounters with racism in progressive schools, right, on the street, right? And so the reality is that I have to arm them not simply with kind of a set of skills and intellectual tools that allow them to flourish in school and ethics and values, but also a way to make sense of the hostility that they encounter every day from people at times whose responsibility is to treat them as community members. Right? That's the world they occupy. The people who are closest with them, sometimes people who they spend more hours with every day than they do with me. Right? And that's a complicated task. And I mention it in part because I do want it to trigger for readers a kind of ethical reflection on their part. Right? What is it, all of these things come up when we have these sort of cross-racial encounters or cross-class encounters, right? And we tend not to be reflective of them in part because, as James Baldwin talked about, Americans are addicted to innocence, right? We're so busy saying, I'm not that, I'm not that, I'm not that thing I don't want to be, that it becomes very hard to engage in correctives of our behavior.
Breathe, a letter to my sons, by Dr. Amani Perry. The book Breathe, a letter to my sons, by Dr. Amani Perry begins with this quote attributed to everybody and their mother and father too. It must be terrifying to raise a black boy in America. It must be terrifying to raise a black boy in America. Amani Perry responds, writing to her sons, between me and these others who utter the sentence, the indelicate assertion hangs midair. Without hesitation, they speculate as if it is a statement of fact. I look into their wide eyes. I see them hungry for my suffering, or crude with sympathy, or grateful they are not in such a circumstance. Sometimes they are even curious. It makes my blood boil, my mind furnace hot. I seldom answer a word. I'm indignant at their pitying eyes. I do not want to be their emotional spectacle. I want them to admit that you are people, black boys, people. That fact, simple as it is, shouldn't linger on the surface. It should penetrate. It often doesn't. Not in this country, anyway. But no matter how many say so, my sons, you are not a problem. Mothering you is not a problem. It is a gift, a vast one. A breathtaking one, beautiful. One that makes me pray for unmercenary spirit about what I am here to do, never considering it a burden or worthy of particular praise. Mima, your grandmother, said it this way: mothering black boys in America, that is a special calling. How do I meet it? What is it like? How do I meet this calling? It is like cultivating diamonds, pressure that is so tight that it turns you, black, into something white and shining and deemed precious and valuable. That is no good. Do I fuel it like coal? Something that is to be burned up and used for the warmth of others? Or the consolation prize on Christmas? That is no good either. Do I cover my home in the blood of the proverbial sacrificial goat, praying that we are passed over, that the bloodthirsty fear lands on someone else's door? I am tempted, but I know that prayers don't prevent tragedy. They hold you up as you pass through it, sometimes. It is like stalking through a labyrinth, breathless, yet deliberate, avoiding the snow-white minotaur. Maybe I'm Theseus. Was it ever so apparent that we need to have this reckoning? Maybe I am Theseus. I live a living vocation, but also simply living with the beckoning. And that is what it feels like. Its tenor and tone shift with the shadow of each day, but it is always there. Sometimes it screeches, sometimes it thrills and wobbles. Sometimes it is a perfect pitch, sweet. Here ends our reading.
I invite us to rise as we're willing and able. Let's join in singing Love Will Guide Us.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Can give to the future of our precious children, to the future of the world where we live. Love will guide us, peace that's right us, hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the hard night. Love will guide us through the hard night.
Amen. Please be seated. The theme of today's service and sermon was chosen by church member Ellis Vance, who was one of the lucky high bidders in our annual auction item of choosing the topic of a Sunday sermon. Thank you, Ellis. Ellis, who is fiercely committed to dismantling white supremacy culture in himself, society, and this congregation, asked me to explore Imani Perry's stunning, searing book about raising two black sons in America. Ellis invites us all to read the book and perhaps join him in a 4-part discussion series he and Riva are hosting beginning next Sunday afternoon on Zoom. Breathe. A letter to my sons. Imani Perry writes, when I titled the book Breathe, I was thinking of Eric Gardner's dying repetition, I can't breathe. I was also thinking about my own days sleeping with an oxygen tank when my lupus flared badly. I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, an industrial city that at the time had the worst air quality in any place in the nation. And I carry diseases that are likely evidence of the consequences of that polluted air. Despite all of this, I want to remind my children and all children to breathe deeply where we can, to hold on to sustenance. It is at once a necessity for life and a form of refusal. This, Imani Perry contends, is hard to do if you are Black in America. I have read more books than I can remember during my 5.5 years in seminary and over 22 years of ministry. I have a habit, when I read a book, of folding over a tiny corner of a page when I read something that moves me or that offers a thought to which I want to return to later. I don't know if you can see, but I have never before folded down as many corners of a page in one book as I did while reading Imani Perry's loving and scathing depiction of being a Black mom in America. This book is perhaps the most illuminating and informative book I've read in my attempt to understand how I benefit from white privilege. This book lays bare my ignorance about what Black Americans face daily. This book convicts me of my own complacency in sustaining America's white supremacy culture. With deep love, Imani Perry writes to her sons, Freeman and Issa, saying, I have known from the very first day of each of your lives that I cannot guarantee your safety. Now, this is true in a general sense for every parent. But for Imani Perry, she knows she cannot guarantee her son's safety for one specific reason: the color of their skin. As Julie Lithcott-Haynes writes in the New York Times, like any parent, Imani Perry wants her children, 2 boys, to be able to create a decent and happy life for themselves. Yet the terrifying specter of the white imagination means they are often not seen as individuals, but instead are judged for being Black, subject to the larger white world's constant evaluation as to whether or not they are worthy. Perry compiles a running list of criticisms and put-downs to which her kids are subjected to by white adults. Quotes, too mobile, too slow, too fast, inattentive. Why are you still in the bathroom? It takes you too long to pee. It takes you too long to remember this algorithm, this table. You hold the pencil too tight. You hold the pencil too loose. The words come out mostly gray than black, but they say one thing: you are just too Black. Perry tells her sons, and so you learn early on that the aversion to Blackness can turn perfectly lovely people grotesque. Julie Lithgott-Haynes continues. Imani Perry shares a childhood memory of the grotesque. A brilliant teacher who repeatedly singled her out for mockery and degradation while white classmates looked on. Perry remembers, quote, "He yelled at me my first day because I had forgotten a pencil. He mocked my answers in class. He called me the names of other black students. He openly disparaged the inclusion of black authors in the curriculum after we students had insisted. He was a brilliant teacher for whites only." The bifurcation, the division of my experience and that of my peers in which they witnessed my humiliation felt uncomfortable for them. They were disciplined into passive acceptance, into reaping the rewards, while I was humiliated over and over again. Ask a white person about these moments, and often the veil falls. Their moral turpitude lies naked and ashamed, bewildered at the idea that they might have something asked of them to disrupt the hideous truth. This, she tells her sons, is what you are surrounded by. Silent witnesses. Silent, white witnesses. To her sons, Imani Perry writes, There are fingers itching to have a reason to cage you or even slaughter you. So I teach you. This is what is happening, I say. This is what they do. My lessons are different from the official ones taught in every school. These lessons, everybody is friends. Everybody smiles. Everybody knows racism is bad. Nobody is racist because nobody is in the Ku Klux Klan around here. And the Ku Klux Klan is economically disenfranchised. Feel bad for them. And remember, if anyone white makes a mistake, they are innocent. How dare you think otherwise? Perry continues, Black lives matter. Brown lives matter. Lives in all the shapes they revile, those matter too. There are deaths weekly. Children are stolen. Children disappear. We mourn. We rage. And then, beyond the tragedies you know have something to do with you, are the superseded things in the stuff you're supposed to wipe off the corners of your mouth. Slights, shoves, pulled close to the body pocketbooks. Questions, never-ending questions about your abilities, and quests to prove your inabilities. Resentment accrues when they fail, but they say you are the one with the bad attitude. Always presumed guilty, no matter how many smiles they give you. But amidst this reality, Imani Perry offers her sons not fear or helplessness, but an exuberant, love-filled call to claim life built within the legacy, beauty, and power of blackness. She tells Freeman and Isa, I cannot clip your wings. No, I want your wingspan wide. I want you to fly. Living defined by terror is itself destructive of the spirit, and it is submission. I told you not to raise your hands up in the don't shoot position that was common. I told you to raise your right fists, how I was taught, power. The truth is, life is unsafe. But joy shows up everywhere. Take it and keep taking it. You do not do this alone. Even in the most private recesses, you carry a history with you. Like the phoenix, in you, the ancestors come again. Rise from the curling red and gray ashes underneath lynching trees. That is what black reincarnation is. Perry writes, "My elders taught me that I belonged to a tradition of resilience, of music that resonates across the globe, of spoken and written language that sings. If you've had the good fortune to experience a holiday with a large black American family, you have witnessed the masterful art of the storytelling, the vitality of our laughter, and the everyday poetry of our experience. The narrative boils down quite simply to this: we are still here. Praise life. After everything, we are still here. We are more than the hatred heaped upon us." Imani Perry continues, "Joy is not found in the absence of pain and suffering. It exists through it. The scourges of racism, poverty, incarceration, medical discrimination, and so much more shape black life. We live with the vestiges of slavery and Jim Crow and with the new creative tides of anti-blackness directed towards us and our children. We know the wail of a dying man calling for his mama, and it echoes into the distant past and cuts into our deepest wounds. The injustice is inescapable. Black Americans continue to die prematurely, whether under the knee of a police officer, or struggling for breath on a respirator, or along the stretch of the Mississippi River known as Cancer Alley, or in the shadow of Superfund sites, or in one of the countless other ways we are caught in its spokes. The trauma is repetitive. We weep. But we are still, even in our most anguished seasons, not reducible to the fact of our grief. Rather, the capacity to access joy is a testament to the grace of living as a protest. Perry tells us, so yes, I want the world to recognize our suffering, but I do not want pity from a single soul. Sin and shame are found in neither my body nor my identity. Racism is terrible. Blackness is not. Blackness is an immense and defiant joy. Blackness is an immense and defiant joy. Imani Perry's gift of writing to her sons becomes our gift too, if we wish to receive it. I urge each of us to read this book. It is important for each of us to read or listen to this book. That is why this year, Unitarian Universalists across the country are reading this book together at the same time in every congregation from the East Coast to the West Coast. This is part of our denomination's commitment to confronting white supremacy culture within us, among us, and beyond us. This is why church members Ellis and Riva will host a 4-part discussion beginning next Sunday afternoon on Zoom for those who want company in the exploration of Imani Perry's words. Imani Perry wrote this book, this letter, for her sons. But she also wrote it for us, if we are brave enough to enter its painful and joyful truths. If you join with us here, writes Imani Perry, you might feel not only our pain, but also the beauty of being human. Así sea, bendito sea. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen and amen.
There must be a time, there must be a place when everyone will finally come together. If there is a God with a human face, I'm sure she'd want us all to come together and get beyond these bolted doors. Get beyond these awful bloody wars. Get beyond this way of settling scores, 'cause the score is never even. And if I had the words, then I'd make the case that everyone has gotta come together. If I had the hounds, well, I'd call off the chase, and everyone could finally come together. We'd get beyond who's right and wrong, and get beyond the need to look so strong, and just get on with simply getting along, 'cause that's the thing we can all believe in, yeah. That's enough of the bitter tears. That's enough of talking to our mirrors. That's enough of separate hemispheres. That's enough, that's enough. We really gotta come together. Come together.
So we have a tradition. On the second Sunday of every month, we take a special offering for a social justice individual or organization that is in alignment with our Unitarian Universalist religious values. This is the second Sunday, and so I am proud to welcome, you've heard his name multiple times today, it's like the Ellis Show, Ellis Vance, who is representing the U.S. Green Building Council of Central California. Please welcome Ellis.
Hi, my name is Ellis, of course, and I'm a member of this church. And I just want to say how very thankful I am every day for all the love and support that you provide for Robin and me. So I want to say that. Thank you very much. I also happen to be treasurer of the U.S. Green Building Council, Central California, a local 501c3 working towards sustainability in the building environment. Laura Gromas, also a member of this church, is the executive director of the organization. Through our programs, we work to educate, connect, and inspire our community about solutions that reduce our impact on climate change and create healthier buildings and communities for all. This year, we started to work on our newest project, an endeavor to build an Indigenous and Environmental Resource Center at the San Joaquin River, right outside Fresno in Madera. With our Circle V project, we will build a hands-on environmental resource center that will serve the needs of the Native American community, is based on Indigenous and environmental values, and provide an intertribal learning center for our communities. One goal is to provide access to the San Joaquin River, a jewel in our backyard that is not accessible enough. Circle V has beautiful riparian woodland and a marvelous old oak forest with very old trees. We want to create access to these areas and expand the access to these natural resources. When we look at sustainability, there is a big overlap between Native American values and goals of the green building movement that we are looking to explore, like the concept of only take as much as you need and leave enough for others behind. We invite you to learn more about this project at our upcoming walk next Saturday, September 18th, and appreciate so much your support for this organization. Thank you.
Let's join together in our call for offering. If not us, then who? If not open hearts, then what? If not now, then when? If not here, then where? If not generously, then how? If not us, then who? Here's a slide showing how you can make a financial contribution right now, or if you're on our Alluvial Ave campus, you can always drop a check or cash in the basket on the way out the sanctuary. We can't pass the basket because of the pandemic. Thank you in advance for sharing generously.
Thank you all for joining us this morning and bringing open minds and hearts to this important conversation. Being together, whether online or in person, and breathing into this moment and time together means so much. As we prepare to end our service and enter into our afternoon, please join in our chalice extinguishing words led by Karen and Troy.
Extinguimos esta llama, pero no la luz de la verdad, el calor de comunidad o el fuego de nuestro compromiso. estos los llevaremos en el corazón. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts.
Enjoy the rest of your day, and we hope to see you again next week. Bye.
Thank you so much, Emily, for being with us this morning. Few quick reminders. Next week is our third Sunday food drive, so we hope you will bring food with you for food vulnerable families here in the Central Valley, especially over at Children's Hospital, as well as Wesley Methodist Food Pantry. We're trying something different. Social hour for you folks who are on our virtual campus is going to be at 1 p.m. because this way we're giving folks who are on Alluvial Ave campus, if you want to go to social hour, we're giving you a little time to get home so you can join in that social hour. But today we are going to try something different here on campus. There are some really amazing new folks who have found us during the pandemic and have been coming now that we've opened the doors again. And you can tell a lot of them because they have their name tags, orange name tags. We are going to start a couple community circles outside. We can't do coffee because we can't unmask, but we're going to have socially distanced circles of groups of people. You'll be able to sit down and have a conversation, introduce each other. We have a couple questions based on the sermon to guide the conversation, to get it started. But we're aware we're losing the sense of community after the service, that everybody's just heading out. So if you want connection, we're going to invite you to stay and just look for Patty Bennett because she's organizing all of that. Next Sunday, I hope you will join us at noon or at 6 p.m. on Zoom, noon here, for an extraordinary film documentary called The Black Mozart in Cuba. It celebrates the life of Joseph Bellon. He is one of the most remarkable figures of the 18th century. He influenced musical and political life. He was a genius composer and conductor, a virtuoso violinist, the best fencer in Europe, and the first black general in the French army. You've never heard of him? You know why. Meet him next week. For those of us exiting the sanctuary on Alluvial Ave, we're going to ask you, let the socially distanced people go first, and then we're going to invite you to just come this way and head out the doors. I'm saying his name yet again. Ellis is there, and head on out. I'll be greeting folks outside. Please remember, masks over your nose, 6 feet social distancing when outside because there are unvaccinated kiddos out there with you, and in the bathroom, 1 person or 1 pod at a time, and use the occupied magnets. So many reminders. Picking up your kiddos from the religious exploration program, please go to the religious education table in the breezeway. Yo si voto, and you should too. Vote, vota, vote your religious values in this recall election. Use a drop box, recommend friends and family, and you get extra fun if you drop the ballot in the drop box here on campus. Remember, by September 14th, hey, I see ballots back there. Yay, Lucas. Okay, one last thing. We're going to welcome our visitors who are here for the first, second, or third time. We do this not to embarrass you, but we're super glad that you are here. So if this is your first, second, or third time, could you just stand for a moment so we know you're here? We won't leave you standing by yourself for long. Yay! Welcome! Welcome, welcome, welcome. I invite the rest of the congregation to rise with them. After our closing words and our sung benediction, I'm going to ask everyone in the sanctuary to sit back down for a very brief but powerful special postlude you don't want to miss. So it'll be closing words, it'll be we sing our sung benediction, and then please be seated for about 1.5 minutes more music. Our closing words come from the Reverend Wayne Arneson. Take courage, friends. The way is often hard, the path is never clear, and the stakes are very high. Take courage, for deep down there is another truth. You are not alone. We are not alone. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Please be seated for 1 minute.
I'm a young black man doing all that I can to stand. Oh, but when I look around and I see what's being done to my kind, every day I'm being hunted as prey. My people don't want no trouble. We've had enough struggle. I just wanna live. God protect me. I just wanna live. I just wanna live.
2, 3.